Good morning. See, 98 days today. It's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy about that. So I'm going to share how I'm feeling. I'm stressed. My check was $2,500. My rent is $2,760. My Oxford rent is $700. My car payments are both $450 a piece. I'm behind on my electricity and gas, although I was able to pay those. I have one weighing over me that needs to be paid here ASAP. I've used my 401k throughout treatment. I took a loan to get some Christmas presents. Still didn't get enough. Ended up having to buy tires, that kind of stuff. Pay rent. And I'm stressed to the max. But I'm not going to panic. I'm going to find a way. I'll reach out to the church or something. I reached out to my sister, but I'm not going to push that. I've got to figure this out. This is part of this whole thing. Trusting in my higher power and putting in my work. There's no time to fold. There's no time to quit. There's definitely no time to use drugs to cope with it. This is one of those higher power situations where you have to put in the work, pray, and whatever ideas come to you, act on them. The church came to me as I was praying last night and praying today, and so I'm going to email the church, see if maybe they can help me with something. It's not like I haven't been here before. It's a little bit more than I've ever been through, but I wouldn't be able to handle this if I was in active addiction and this was going on. One, I wouldn't even want to call anybody, and two, I wouldn't feel like I could. So here's an opportunity for me to find a solution and make it happen, and not quit what I'm doing. Keep putting in that work. I could sit here and complain about anything, like all of it. What was that going to do? Luckily, I got presents. It wasn't all the presents, but I got a lot with the money that I used. I do pray that Amanda uses the money that she got to buy presents. Now I'm going to be at work a little early. A lot early. Hour early. But that's what we do. We tell ourselves, let's make this happen. I've gotten this far. I didn't get this far by luck. Well, there's a little bit of luck in there, for sure. Like, I'm lucky I'm still alive. And I'm lucky I'm not on drugs. Although I did put in the work. Well, I'm lucky it didn't take everything away from me. There's a saying in the car business, act as if. They say it in recovery too. It's funny how the two things tie in together. Sales act as if. Car sales, 12 steps to the sale. Recovery, act as if. 12 steps. Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, and whatever other A there is. And that first step in everything is surrender. I need to surrender to the situation and say that I can either let it make my life unmanageable, or I'm not going to surrender to the fact that I need to take care of these things. That's not what I'm going to do. But I'm going to surrender to the fact of my feeling that I can't handle it. And maybe not even that. I'm going to surrender to the anxiety and say, hey man, I'm not going to live in it. And I'm gonna continue to push like it's not even happening. And maybe smoke a gang of cigarettes and hit this vape. I don't know. That doesn't even sound like a good plan. But today I got my workout in. I drank my breakfast. I'll drink all the water I need to drink. I have one more IOP session left. One more. Fuck. You know, I enrolled in IOP in February. I always thought it was January, but it's February. I told them in January I needed to go. And in February I got enrolled. And even when I enrolled in IOP, right before I got into IOP, I used, there was no real commitment there. Not like today. I remember seeing that assessment where I wasn't serious about my recovery, where I didn't make any meetings, and I was just coming in and going. Even though I was still making, two every once in a while, 3 meetings a week. It's been a whole year of that. I'll finish on Monday, which will mean that I've spent all of 2024 in IOP. But I've only spent almost the last 2 months working it the way it's supposed to be. Stay clean, show up, report, talk about the disease, recovery. Have I made an impact to anybody? I don't know. I hope at least something I said, or something I did, helped somebody motivate to do something for themselves. But this is for me. I'm not at step 12. I haven't finished that. I'm on step 4, which is a personal journey. I have felt a spiritual awakening. I continue to feel that. It was everything I needed. They say in recovery you will get a spiritual awakening. They never say when. They never say what step it's going to happen. But there is something they do say. After having had a spiritual awakening and a result of these steps, you tried to carry the message to the still suffering addict out there. That's step 12. They say when you work the steps, you will have a spiritual awakening. I can honestly say that I've worked a lot of the steps. And I didn't have that spiritual awakening until I started over. But the spiritual awakening has driven me. I hope for whoever listens to this or watches this, I hope that if you're going through what I was going through, because I'm not unique, I hope that you, one, identify with not being unique. That's what keeps us out there. We say, oh yeah, nobody's ever experienced what I've experienced. Nobody's ever going to experience everything to the T that I experienced. You would have had to live with me and grow up with me, and even then, it wouldn't have been the same. But we look for the similarities, not the differences. And there's a lot of similarities to the stories I hear in recovery, even in the meetings, especially in the meetings. In fact, that's what I hear in the meetings. but also in the videos and YouTube and all that stuff that you watch and you hear these stories. You have a chance. You're worth it. This will give you purpose. It's giving me purpose. And it's not just a purpose to live. It's not just a purpose for your kids, which will be a purpose. But that one why. Why do I get up? You know, that question was asked to me so long ago, years ago, almost 6 years ago, by somebody who I respect, by somebody that I at one point wanted to be just like. But I wanted to be like what I saw him as. Everybody looks at you and everybody has a different set of eyes, a different set of ears. Everybody sees you in a different way. And they all see you differently than you see yourself in the mirror. And that version of that person I saw, I wanted to be like. Because I didn't want to be like me. Because when you get down to it and you start stripping away the masks and you start stripping away the bullshit, you start to see who you really are. And that's who you end up falling in love with. That's who you end up loving. And maybe falling in love is a weird way to say it, because we think of falling in love as that partner. There's nothing wrong with falling in love with yourself so you can love yourself unconditionally. Think of that. Loving yourself unconditionally. I love myself no matter what. But I love myself enough to where I'm going to do everything I can for myself to be the best version of myself. The version that I feel comfortable with. The version I can look in the mirror and say, I love you. The version that the mistakes I make maybe I couldn't have prevented. Maybe it was out of my control. Or maybe it was just a mistake because I'm human, but I wasn't getting loaded and then doing weird shit. Love yourself. But that takes time, especially if you hate yourself for so long. You can't hate somebody for a long time where you just beat on them daily. And you're the only person that knows what you're thinking. So you're talking to yourself even when you're not saying anything out loud, which is all the fucking time. And it takes time for you to just really love yourself. And then a lot of us don't want to love ourselves because we feel like that's that form of like conceitedness. There's a difference between being conceited, content, and confident. Put in some work. You'll be confident with yourself and you'll love yourself in a different way. It won't be like your children, but it'll be the person that your children love because of the way you treat yourself. So if you don't think so, you are worth it. And you got this. Now I got to go do this. And I love you, Rodney, even if nobody's watching this. If you go back and look at this, remember where we are.